the deal.
You got to get these farmer tans, Donnie.
That's it. If you don't, you're not doing something right.
That's how you know. That's how you know you work for a living, when you get the farmer stand.
Sure, though. So, what are we going on today, folks? How y'all doing out in Facebook world? Thanks again for popping on, listening to us chit chat a little bit about the minimum amount of knowledge we know about being in business. As you guys know, I've been in business for about 10 years now. Jeff's going on business. What are we going on? Year number 2, 3, 4? Where are we at? Year number 3. Donnie, how long you been self-employed?
1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
1 year. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
So we're probably gonna
still be here though.
That's right. So we're gonna talk a little bit about competition and how we deal with competition in our environments, in our industry specifically, and how other people in specific industries have overcame competition in there. So we're going to be dropping some really good knowledge bombs on competition, understanding your competition, understanding your market, so that you can directly reflect on what your competition's doing, what they're not doing, and how you become and find your niche to help you stand out from your competition, which makes you grow and become a better person and a better company as a whole. So we're just going to dive right on in, if you guys don't mind, gents. So we're dealing with competition. And I'll tell you what, when I first started out with my first business, before I ever bought into it, before I ever even decided to make the commitment to being a small business owner, the first thing I did was did some market research. I wanted to contact as many of my potential prospects as I could to see if I could even sell the services or product that I wanted. And what I'm saying is, I started a drug and alcohol compliance company. So I needed to see, and it was going to be mobile, right? So that was my niche. I was going to be mobile. I was going to go on site. I was going to come to you. I was going to come to the employer. I was going to save you time, save you money. But I needed to know if somebody was going to bite off on that, right? I needed to know if somebody was actually going to pay for that type of service. Yeah. So what I did was I would contact all of these different companies and see if they would like to entertain that thought. And once I had about 10 people lined up and companies lined up that said, you know what, Mike, that's a great idea. That's a great format. That's a good business model. We'll entertain it. And once I had enough people and enough steam behind me, I made the commitment to purchasing the franchise, because I knew now that it was going to work. I knew that I had a unique product, a unique service, and I understood my target audience and understood my target market. And so what made me stand out the most was the 24/7 mobile aspect of it. There wasn't anybody out there doing it. Yeah. And oftentimes, if you've worked for an employer, or if you've worked for in the military or for another company, oftentimes if you had a pre-employment drug test, you would have to have gone to a Concentra, an urgent care, you would have a LabCorp, a Quest, something to that effect. You would have to go there and probably wait a few hours and this, that, and the other. And it just, the process took forever. And so when we came up with the idea of USA mobile drug testing, it really hit well with those companies that operated 24/7, round the clock operation, right? Because those were the ones that I knew that needed me the most, because nobody was open at 2:00 in the morning, right? So I knew that there was an advantage for me to get out there and talk with those people and offer that service. So the biggest thing is, if you have a competitor, what are they doing that's working, and what are they not doing, and how can I capitalize on what they're not doing, right? So Donnie, you said you've been doing this for about 1 year. Tell us a little bit about your company, and tell us a little about what your competition's doing.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm a wealth advisor. I advise people on how to allocate their resources to achieve their goals, which if you walk into any room, any chamber of commerce event or whatever, there's going to be 5 of us. So I get the competition. Yeah. And so in some ways, there's not a whole lot of new bells and whistles. Like you were able to find, Doc, that niche of being a mobile guy that could come right to the client and they didn't and get rid of those wait times and all of that. For my industry, there's not a whole lot of that. And so the refinements needed to kind of create that niche for ourselves, it gets pretty particular. For example, some advisors, they focus on the 30-year-old guy who's just getting started in life and wants to start saving college for their kids. There's other advisors that, won't talk to you unless you have $5 million. And so there's stratifications in there. And that's where, for me, in understanding where I fit, who my real competitors are, vice, hey, that guy's not a competitor. I mean, he's not talking to anybody unless they have $5 million. He's probably not talking to my circles and the kind of people that I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
Focus on retirement and retirement. So for me, there's within that market research kind of idea, there's a lot of stratification to play with, but ultimately, I'm kind of selling myself. Like I view myself as the product. And so more than finding a particular niche in the market is, for me, what's really important is defining my core values, how I want to present myself to people. So there may be another guy who does the exact same thing as me sitting right next to me. But does he have the same values as me? Does he approach the relationships the fiduciary like me? So I look to some of those things to kind of set myself apart from the competition. There's a ton of competition out there. I don't know that I say I embrace the competition, but I'm not out there necessarily looking for fisticuffs either, because I think I provide a very specific role, and that role is not right for everyone. And so I actually want to know the guy who's going to work with the 30-year-old. I want to know the guy who's going to work with the $5 million client, because if I get someone talking to me that they can better serve, then I want to be the guy that's kind of mature enough to say, I'm not the right guy to provide the service you need, but I know these guys and they're very well.
So it sounds to me like you already understand what your role was going to be when you decided to go down this path into wealth management. You looked at the big picture of wealth management, and then you drew down to a specific thing that you thought you could capitalize on, right?
Yeah.
So even though it's a very saturated industry, there's different niches in the financial wealth management industry. Because what I heard you say was you have a specific target audience that you cater to, right?
Yes.
Therefore, removing competition along the way, because all of your outliers aren't bugging you, because you got this one street that you're staying on. You're staying in your lane and capitalizing in that sector of wealth management, right?
Well, the other thing too is that he understood of the mindset that you get in these modes where I don't have any competition. A lot of folks say, oh, I don't have any competition. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter what you do. That's bullshit. Everybody has competition. Every market is saturated to a certain extent. Being aware of competition is already, if you feel like you don't have any competition, you probably haven't done your research, right?
Absolutely.
Doc, when you broke the ice today, starting this, you said before you rolled out anything, you did what? You did your market research.
Did my market research. I understood my target market. I understood who needed it, who didn't need it.
So that was the same with me. Before Black Level AV started, I put 6 months into market research. That was every zip code in Rockwall County and surrounding areas. That was all the competition from here to Highland Park. I wanted to know who was out there, what they were doing, what I could take away from what they were doing and make it better. So you've already kind of won on two aspects, being young in the AV or young in the business ownership. You and I are compared to Doc. I mean, you're already kind of walking the path you should be, right? But knowing that there's competition there.
Yeah. Well, and so even though I'm 1 year into business, this is my second career. So I'm a
Yeah.
22-year Army retiree, 26 years total, including county, academy time. And so I've had a long time to think about this career and understand what I want and the kind of person I want to be, the kind of people that I think I can best help.
Yeah, there's a lot of downtime in the Army. You get to think a lot.
Yeah, I watched the movie Jarhead one time, so
you're almost there, right?
Yeah. We did our market research, and for those that are following along, most of you guys are already in business that are involved in the RVBA or are a member of it. But there are also, employees that are involved in the RVBA as well. But I think the key factor here is once we've done our market research, and then we've understood that the competition is out there and what they're doing and what we're not, and then fixing that. The next step is finding what makes you different, right, Doc?
You got it. And what makes you different? And so I own Doc's Roofing, right? We already know what makes me different on the drug testing, but how do you make a roofing company set out different when there's I don't know. I think I looked it up and there was 10,000 different roofing companies in a DFW Metroplex. Like, that's scary. When you decide to go into an industry that is so saturated, like real estate, wealth management, roofing, freaking car salesman, like it's a very daunting task to be able to jump into that game, right? And so I had to figure out how can Doc's Roofing be different than all the other roofing companies out there. And what I came up with was that I'll do the right thing when nobody's looking, that I'm 100% transparent. And a lot of other roofing companies do the same thing, but it's really what it boils down to is what Donnie says. It becomes, I'm not selling the person on a roof. I am showing the person who I am. My core values is what makes me different than my competition. The way I treat my client is what makes me different, because if I didn't treat them correct the first go round, the first time we met, then I cannot utilize the referral program, right? I can't say, hey, Mr. Homeowner, can you tell your friends about me? My clients with the respect that they deserve. I'm 100% transparent, and I line item everything out. A lot of roofing companies will give a I'll do plus this, plus that. How we're going to go through the entire process from start to finish, providing the before photos, the during photos, the after photos, extra steps along the way gives my client the vote of confidence to choose me over the other roofing companies. Now, do I win them all? Absolutely not. Am I ever going to beat the cheapest guy on the block? Absolutely not. But I don't pride myself on being the cheapest guy out there. And I think a lot of us don't either. I know Jeff doesn't. He's not going to cut his costs just to make a dollar. We're here to build a brand. And that is so crucial when running a business. And that's how you keep that a competitive advantage, is by respecting your brand and respecting the morals and values of your business, so that you're here for a long time, not a short time.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, man, do you want to chase a dollar to spend 10? Absolutely not. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in my industry and in the technology industry in general, whether that's AV, IT, whatever, I mean, the products that we sell, man, for the most part, I'd say half of what we sell can be found online. You know what I mean? So that's where you get these DIY home automation installers and stuff like that. So when you sit down and come up with what makes you different, this is something that worked for me. Is I took a yellow notepad, right, and I put a big fat black line down the middle of it and said, what do I do the same? What do I do different? And then I weighed them out. And then I went back after I made my own list and looked at each competitor website, Facebook page, and then wrote next to it, okay, they do this, they do this. Oh, and then I read circle, this is what they don't do. And what they don't do is they don't project the image and the brand of confidence. They hide behind, and I'm not talking about my competition, but other competitors. Sometimes they hide behind a marketing team. what sets me apart is I'm the guy that's going to sell the job, install the job, service the job.
Yep.
Doc and I were talking ahead of the Facebook Live. You know, I won a couple of contracts this week because the client asked me, how big are you? Well, I'm a small company. Anybody who knows me knows that. That's why they went with me, because they know that I'm going to be the person that's there. So that's a unique character for me in my business.
So what you just talked about is it's called a SWOT analysis.
There you go.
Right? So that's almost business 101, right? It's called a SWOT analysis. It's with the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, right? So when you're looking at your competition, we have to do a SWOT analysis on our competition. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Where's the opportunity? And what's my threat? And when we understand those key things, we're able to fully understand our competition and take advantage of those threats, of those weaknesses, as well as those opportunities. And we want to adapt the strengths that help them to get to where they're at, right? So sometimes we get lost in the details of running a business because we have such big, grandiose ideas, and we forget that, man, we really need to dive deep and understand exactly how the people behind
Hey, Doc, you got a little choppy.
What about you, Johnny?
Hey, Doc, you're breaking up just a little bit, brother. You're spitting some good knowledge, but you keep getting some latency over there.
Oh no!
Maybe
if I move a little bit.
Hey, I want to jump in. One of the things that, and honestly, I think it's one of the things I love kind of about being a part of the RVBA and just the veteran community of business owners, is that for both of you, you both view, like I do, a part of your competitive differentiation is your personal accountability to the outcome of your project, right? You are, both of you in your models, you put yourselves forward. You are the face, not just at the beginning to make the sale, but at the end to close the sale and to make sure the client's happy. And before we went live, you made the comment that you may not be the cheapest, but you guarantee you're the one that's here 5 years from now.
Yeah, and that's extremely important
about this community. I wanted to highlight that because I don't think that attitude exists in all business communities.
No.
Quite, I've seen it here in Rockwall among the veterans.
Well, it goes back to mindset, and hang out with us more, and you'll understand real quick that everything we do, from planning logistics and carrying out anything with our businesses or even with the RVBA, all starts with the right mindset. And that's exactly damn right. And I said that verbatim to 3 different clients this week about how invested I am in the community and my circle is. You know, I'm always telling people about people in the RVBA that they need floors, paint, walls, roofs, what you name it. You know, that's where I dig from, because that's the people that are here. They're invested. They may be in competition with each other. Prime example, James Kennard. Love that guy. Love him to death. Was at a job site today. Dude rolls by, swings out, says hi. Ended up talking about RVBA and how we're going to support CASA. Those are the kind of people you want working for you as employers, as clients, is people that care really about what's going on in their own community.
Yeah, because rest assured, I can't tell you how many of my clients I've ran into at Walmart, I ran into at the local stores, or wherever out and about throughout my day. And if I didn't follow through all the way to the end, I wouldn't be able to have that relationship long term. I mean, I still get people that I've done roofs from 3 years ago, and to say, hey, Mike, how you doing? You know what I mean? If I'm out in McKinney and I ran into them, they still remember who I am. And that's what differentiates me from my competitor. Because I'll get people that call me, hey, man, I got a leak. And I'm like, well, how long ago did you do your deal? And they're like, oh, a few years ago. And I'm like, well, why didn't you call that other company back? I'm like, well, we did. And the guy didn't remember me. And he says he doesn't warranty it, or he's not in business anymore. And and it's just befuddling to me, for lack of a better word, of how can you go into business and then get out of business after 2 years, 3 years, or not answer your phone, or not do your due diligence, and continue to build and massage that relationship for longevity. Because I didn't get into business to just to see what it was, to put my toes in the water, right? I jumped in feet first, sank to the bottom, and now I'm swimming my way back to the top.
Hey, there's a good question that came through right here, and I want to engage some of these comments because I love speaking with you guys, but one of my most favorite thing here is the comments that come in. So someone says, what about expertise? Do you ever deal with competition by just being flat out better? Let me speak on this one real fast. And I'll never throw anybody under the bus by name, but I would say a good section of the business that I do in this community is fixing my competition's work. And I had the same conversation you just mentioned. Why didn't you call the other company back? And it all boils down to service. It all boils down to service because for the most part, roofers can roof. Wealth management guys can manage wealth. AV guys can install AV equipment. What it really comes down to, and why you win projects and why you win the hearts of your people and your clients, you guys see me use this hashtag Black Level AV Family on 99% of my clients' posts. They call me back for the service. They call Doc back for the service. They remember people like that. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I deal with my competition by just being flat out better than them. And I'll say without even being.
That's confidence. You have to have
about
confidence.
What they think. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great question, Aaron. Hey, we got the honorable Casey Ashmore going to join us. He's probably running late from litigation, but while he's while Casey's joining in on us here, you know, basically what we're saying up to this point right now is you've done your market research, you understand there's competition out there, you've identified what makes you better or what you did your SWOT analysis, right? And then, you know, keeping track of the competition and understanding that, you know, you can still keep tabs on competitors in your marketplace, but ignoring the noise. And we all know what the noise is. We're all dealing with noise on a daily basis with everything that's going on from life. We call it structured chaos is what we've been calling it lately, right? So, you know, understanding that what your competition is doing is very important to how you kind of strategize what the next step is. For instance, 3 months ago, I noticed I was getting into a rut with my business where everybody thought Black Level AV was just a TV guy. They did just, and Doc and I have talked about this 100 times. They just thought I was a TV guy. So strategically, I stepped back and I was quiet. I was real quiet, but I was training. I was bringing up my education. And now we have the biggest change in our business since we started, which is motorized shades. And my phone has been ringing off the hook. I did one video that I thought through 110%, how I wanted to do it, when I wanted to produce it, and when I wanted to share it. That's taking what other people in your industry are doing and utilizing that to your advantage.
Absolutely. There's no reason that we should be reinventing the wheel. Like,
correct. 100%.
I mean, there's not. I mean, what is the point of everybody failing before me if I can't utilize the mistakes that they've made? Or if they're doing something great, why not capitalize on that? So we're not here to reinvent the wheel. What we're here to do is capitalize on the successes of others so that we can emulate success, so that we continue to become successful, so that the people begin to emulate us and continue the pathway to success.
So what's your thought on collaboration with competition?
I love it. I do it all the time.
So I had 5 meetings today, phone call meetings today. 2 of them were actually with arguably competitors. I don't necessarily view competition that way, but it very much was discussions about how they're doing things, how they're treating customers, what's working for them, what's not, what opportunities do we have to work together. And that was specifically in the wealth management world. But regularly, and one of the reasons I like the chamber is the circle of expertise I like to have around me to collaborate with, whether it's, you know, I don't know anything about Medicare, right? But I have clients who really need an expert on Medicare. And so collaborating with someone, you know, like a Carolado or a Lupe, to help me with those cases, that's in my line of work. Yeah.
So, you know, when I ask you guys that question, the point of it was that it kind of hits on what Doc was saying too, is that, you know, industries in general copy one another. Look at, for instance, the software industry. You know what I mean? Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, they all come up with these funky little cliches. Not one of them came up with that idea and said, I'm the first one to ever make this idea, right? Shoe companies, clothing companies, I mean, they all kind of steal each other's ideas. And we're not by no means saying, hey, go out and look at your competition and steal what they're doing. But what we're saying here is that look at the competition and learn from them. Not all competition is good competition. I'll tell you that right stinking now, right? Some competition, and especially in my industry, makes good, solid AV professionals like myself make our whole industry look stupid, right? So not all competition is good competition. And by understanding who that competition is, you can use that to your advantage. You can set yourself apart and be different than that. So it's okay to play the idea game with your competition, be professional, build relationships with your competition, but, you know, never give away your trade secrets. You know, there's a fine line there.
When I think building a relationship with my competition, and I'm talking to companies that I'm trying to be like, right? For an example, I've gone to roofing conferences, met with other more successful roofing companies, gotten their contacts, came back to Texas, had lunch with them, told them where I'm failing at, and they shared that with me. Oftentimes, when you present yourself to your competition as somebody that you just want to learn from and not steal from, the amount of knowledge is invaluable that you're going to be able to receive, right? Because a lot of people want to see success in the industry, just like in your AV industry, right? They want to see you guys looked at as professional and understand what the hell you're talking about. The same thing goes in wealth management. The same thing goes in being a lawyer, right? I'm sure we have our own mentors that have to be our competitors because I'll never be able to learn what they've learned. So I think it's huge to be able to build relationships within your industry.
Well, you're spot on there, man, because at the end of the day, anybody who cares about their industry wants the industry to succeed, right? Yeah. That's the bottom line. Look at all these trade shows we go to.
Absolutely.
Look at a trade show. What's a trade show? That is a meeting of competition. That's the bottom line. Builder Expo, AV Expo, wealth management. You know, Casey's on his own program over there, whatever he's doing. He's got penguins in the background or whatever he's doing.
I want to share a quick story because I think it applies of when I first learned this lesson, right? So in the circle of veterans here, you know, as a platoon leader, there's always that pressure to be the best platoon, right? And so, or whether you're a squad leader or team leader, right? There's all that pressure. And so the idea is that there's some healthy competition there. But I remember the time it was after some kind of day, we called it the Pig Bowl, right? The military police having this big competition day. And frankly, the platoon did awesome. But along the way, we kind of stepped on the other platoons a little bit, right? And so at the end of the day, even though we brought home the trophy and I was super proud of the team, then the commander pulls me in and he's like, yeah, you got a heck of a platoon, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, yes, sir. Did you see us today? He's like, yeah, but it's my job to have the best company.
Yeah.
By you kind of your team overshadowing everyone else and not helping everyone else rise with you, you actually made my company worse by working so hard to have such a good singular platoon. Now, granted, that's a little bit different structure than we are with our competitors here, you know, in the Rockwall market, but it goes for the industry, like you're saying. I want the wealth management industry to rise because it just takes one, you know, seedy kind of guy who does someone wrong to tarnish the reputation of my field, right?
Absolutely.
And,
that's a good story, man. I mean, because at the end of the day, I think we can all take something away from that because, you know, this whole Facebook Live that we've been doing, the foundation of it is leadership. Would you agree, Doc? Leadership?
Leadership and commitment.
Yeah, leadership and commitment.
And consistency would be the three pillars. But leadership definitely is number one because without it, we fail.
But what I'm taking away from what Donnie is saying is that as leaders, we should be making other leaders. And that's what your CEO was telling you, and that's what you took away from it, and that's what you just shared with us. So the people that are watching us here, I hope you caught that. I hope you understood what Donnie was saying there, because we want to be the best we possibly can be, but it's always good to help others. I mean, that's just the human nature should be in that mode, right? So while we're helping, we also want to try to stay ahead of our competition, right? We don't want to be soft. There's not a soft dude on this. I mean, we're not soft guys. That's just the bottom line. I could say it a whole different way, but I'm going to keep it PG-13. But, you know, staying ahead of your competition is, most importantly to me, knowing your customers, right? Knowing who you're selling to, knowing who you're marketing to. I mean, you got to find out what really matters to them. Wouldn't you say, Doc?
Absolutely. And if you don't understand, so in essence, we're all problem solvers, right?
Yeah.
Business owners, we're problem solvers. We went into business because we felt that we could help other people out and give them a solution. Your roof leaks, call a roof leak. You want better sound, call an AV guy. You want to know what to do with your money, call the doggone wealth management services, right? You get a DWI, let's call Casey. You know what I mean? So we're problem solvers. So if we understand that we are in this business to create solutions to our clients, so we need to be effectively creating the best solution for them at a very cost-effective price, right? And so
absolutely correct.
That's what we're boiling down to is, as a leader, leaders are posed with problems. So therefore, it's our job to provide those solutions and prevent those same problems from reoccurring. Right.
Well, of course, but really what helps you stay ahead of there's a handful of things that help you kind of rise above what they, that's kind of how they say it. But, I think first and foremost, to hit home on the point is if you know your customers, which goes all the way back to the first thing we talked about at the beginning of this, which is doing your market analysis, doing your SWOT, talking to the people around. Look, guys, if I didn't know my customers, I would just only hang TVs for a living, and I'll be damned if that's why I started this company. Right. I started this company to completely take over Rockwall County as the best AV integrator, and that was from day one at the top of the page before I wrote my business plan. So you have to understand who your customers are. Casey's customers, they range in a wide variety. Casey, tell us a little bit about knowing your clients. You deal with a ton of different clients.
Thanks for having me again. I'm sorry I'm late. I had another obligation that just ran over. But here's a couple things that I'll say about competition is that, one, that mindset that you and Johnny and Mike have all talked about is absolutely the mindset you have, that you want to be the best. You want to be the industry leader. You want to be the world shaker in your field. And if you're starting in a place, if you're dropping anchor in Rockwall County, start here and be a world mover here in Rockwall County. Absolutely. Toyota had a motto when they started that it was just very simple, but it was essentially that they would make the best possible machines at the best possible price with the fewest problems of anybody in the world. Just three simple ideas. And in 20 years, they challenged the worldwide, not the American market, the worldwide market, right? And yeah, a lot of that had to do with helping Japan after World War II and really getting that country going in a free market. And there was a lot of goodwill coming from our country to theirs, but it has benefited the world. The machines that they make today, 80% of everything Toyota has ever built is on the road today. And that's from
1960.
That's from company inception in 1946 or whatever. Yeah. 80% of everything they've ever made still runs. That's amazing.
That's crazy.
And again, was it inspired by the Ford Model T, the longest running, most reliable automobile in the history of everything, or the Chevrolet wheel drive car that purveys everything? The modern day trucks are based on that original Cadillac design. And it's the reason why they took the motto, the standard of the world, back in 1920. So the thing about it is, you've got to, like Cadillac, you're not going to have competition. You have people who emulate you, right? You are a world changer. Yeah. Cadillac, yeah, maybe their image is tarnished over the years. I mean, they've made some cars that are like, whoa, that's a Cadillac. We've seen them, okay, right? You know, we're not going to get into all of those, but they still are world changers in innovation, comfort, speed, what have you. Ford, same thing. Toyota, same thing. They dominate their marketplaces, and that's the mindset I think you all bring to where you're at. And then, of course, the other thing, you know, and this kind of is a segue into last week, but you know, selfless service, right? It is not just the exchange of sweat for dollars, but it's exactly what Doc said a minute ago. You're bringing so much value to your customer that even at 100 times the cost, it's still a bargain, because you're solving their problem, whatever that is. If it's a roofing problem, a fence problem, you know, I've done business with Doc on multiple occasions for fences, for roofs, for this. And there's a reason why I go back to him. And it's not because I get the, you know, military bro hookup, which I don't.
Double charge him, actually, folks. Just want to let y'all know he gets double charged.
It's because he wears three suits.
It's because he works 3 times harder than the next guy, yeah. Right? Than anyone. I actually brought a roofer out to a very reputable company, 5-star rating, BBB certified, yada yada yada. Came out here, looked at my roof where it's flooding on this crazy little, you know, weird fake window I got up in the attic that doesn't open. I don't even know why it's there, frankly. But you know what they said is, you know, that's really only going to happen on your heavy rainfall. So just don't worry about it. You know, there was no solution offered, and I got water coming down into the second floor, the first floor, through a ceiling fan leaking into the laundry room. And this other roofing company's solution was, well, it doesn't rain that much here, so don't worry about it. You know, Doc came out here, and within 48 hours, I had a solution, and it hasn't leaked since. And that's the thing. Even if it were 10 times the cost, it's still a better value than what I paid for from the other guy. You know, and the other thing, it's not 10 times the cost.
Casey came in here blazing guns, didn't he? Hey, so let me ask you the question I asked you 15 minutes ago. What I wanted to hear from you real quick is really about knowing your customers. So, I mean, we want to keep pressing on here. And Casey, you know, I love you to death, and I'm just breaking your balls. But knowing your customers is huge. But also step up your marketing, right? All of us here have different ways we market. That could be social media, that could be Google, that could be YouTube. You know, Casey's phenomenal at videos on a very consistent basis. Doc's stepping up his video games. Donnie, tell us what you're doing with your marketing that is making an immediate impact with your business today.
Okay, so and related to kind of your point, the know your customer. So I think there's the market research Doc talked about when he was firing up his businesses, where you're knowing your customer, and so it helps you find your competitive edge because you know what product they want. But I also think it's important to know your customer's perspective on how you're supposed to compete for their business, right? Know what your customer expects from the way you market and the way you present yourself. And so quick story time, because I got kids and we moved every couple of years. And so for my boys, that means every new football coach, every new baseball coach, every wrestling coach, they got to make a new impression. And sometimes they're moving into a community where, you know, Jimmy has been the quarterback for 8 years. And well, it doesn't matter that you were the quarterback in Colorado, because we don't live in Colorado anymore. You got to start from scratch and earn that role in your new community.
Yeah.
And so kind of the conveyance of understanding what the coach needs to see for you to make that impression is very similar in my mind to me understanding what my potential clients want to see from me as I'm marketing. Do they want to see me stepping on people's necks to get their business? I don't think so. Not in my business. That's not how we go about it, right? Would they rather see me collaborating with people like Casey if I have if one of my clients has a legal thing, or an insurance expert? Do they want to see that collaborative approach, where they know that forefront of my model is to make sure I'm providing my client the best service, even if that means I'm introducing them to someone else. So for me, and I know that may be a little bit different, but that's how I am approaching things in my business.
That's a good outlook, though, man. I think
great outlook.
I do not need everyone in Rockwall to be my client. Frankly,
yeah, you do. You need to think big, Donnie. You got to think big. Yeah, you do. You want everybody in Rockwall to be your client.
I can't properly service them all.
Well,
right?
You know what?
I really can't properly service them.
Let me. I'm gonna step up and hit something on this marketing. I love marketing. I love thinking outside the box with marketing. I'm a very unique individual. That's why I'm on top of a roof when I make my videos, because it's real. I took a chance. It went on Good Morning Texas, right? Because I needed to get out there. What we do with realtors, we build them little bags of little care baskets of wine bottles and whatever, you know what I mean? And I bring it to them. You know why? Because I need them to remember who I am. And if you have a marketing style that makes people remember you long term, you will be successful even longer. Yeah. Right? So I must think always consistently outside the box. What do my clients want? Just like Donnie stated, and then provide that in marketing material.
Well, I like how you're going with that there, Doc, because the word client really all encompasses more than just someone who pays you for something or a service rendered, correct?
You got it. You got your vendors, your referral. Yes,
yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Like your vendors are clients. Your referral sources are clients. I mean, hell, your friends can be clients. You have to understand. Doc hit it on the head right there. Do a test. If you own a business, do a test. Go dark on social media, any communication, any network events for 30 days. Guarantee you, because I did this to test this theory. No matter how good you are, how nice you are, how pretty or handsome or whatever, people will forget about you like that. You have to stay in the public eye. You got to tell people who you are. You got to tell them what you sell. You got to tell them why they should buy from you instead of somebody else. So, stepping up your marketing game doesn't mean handing over your billfold and spending a boatload of money. Think outside the box. Doc said it. Think outside the box. You have to stay relevant in today's society or you will be left in the dust. Simple as that.
Gone.
Let me say something about that, okay? Because that's exactly why I have, I think, 600 YouTube videos now, okay? The thing is, and this was way before I ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, but there is so much noise in the world today, especially now, COVID, everybody's sitting at home streaming Netflix.
Oh, stop talking about COVID, man.
Yeah, well, okay, the COVID
riots,
whatever there is so much noise in the world, but the thing about social media is it can be a great equalizer. When I got out of law school long time ago, right, almost 20 years ago now, the only way to get your name out there was to have $1 million ad campaign, right? You're like the Texas Hammer, right? He's on every 30 minutes during daytime TV, right? Oh, I'm going to get you the money, right? $1 million a month advertising budget, or you would never be heard of.
Yeah.
Social media is a great equalizer because it's free. You can advertise as much as you want all day long. All it takes is time and creativity. And here's the other thing, and this is something that was validated when I finally did discover Gary Vaynerchuk about 2.5 years into my, 566 YouTube video, adventure that I was on. But I started doing YouTube videos on a daily basis because I felt like there was too much negativity on Facebook and social media. And I wanted to do something to challenge that, to make it better, to make it for what it was, in my opinion, intended to be for, which was to permeate good and kindness and love into the world. The thing about it is, you can get on social media as many times as a day you want. You can post 100 tweets and they can all be snarky bullshit, and you're going to have, 5 followers. And the only time you're going to hear on social media from people that validate you is if you're the biggest a-hole, or you're going to hear because you did something they think is wrong. So you never know if it's doing good or not doing good. But you know what? Could a continuity of, Trace Johansson said this to me a few years ago. It's the paradigm of giving. If you are constantly giving good, good comes back to you in way you can't see around all the corners where that good is going to come back to you. I had a cop stop me the other day in the courthouse in Van Zandt County, which I only go to once every 2 to 3 weeks. And he was like, "Hey man, I saw that YouTube video you did from Patagonia, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was awesome."
Wow.
What's he doing? What's he doing watching my junk down? I'm riding motorcycles at the end of the world. Why is he watching that 3 months later? Because he's bored at home and he's looking for something good and something uplifting and something positive, And that's the thing, is that you can use this to bolster yourself, or you can use it to chip people down. And I think as long, like we run to the light, guys, the RVBA, we run to the light. We are bringing the light, and people flock to the light, right? Because there's so much darkness and badness. And, you can watch MSNBC, New York Times, and all that media bullshit, and you think the world is ending every second. And in a lot of ways, for a lot of people, it may be, but a lot of that's mindset, right? Now, I'm not going to get on my news soapbox, but again, counter that, man. Be the light.
Well, you're kind of jumping into kind of the next point we wanted to discuss, which is updating your image, right? Like that.
Before you go on, I got a question. It's kind of the younger guy. I want to ask you and Doc, and maybe KC if there's time.
He's the grandfather.
Yeah. So one thing I think you guys do amazingly well, and it speaks toward the quality of your work that your clients are willing to do it for you, is the way you do your referral system, or kind of your testimonials. Like I've seen Doc out, I don't know if you get your clients on the roof or not, but you just finished the job, you got the happy customer, and I see you go live or whatever. So my industry, I'm not allowed to do that. So, but I think it's really cool the way you guys do it. So
but it's usually important.
Where does that come from? How's that work? Tell us.
It's extremely important, because if we don't get the feedback from our clients that we need, because here's the truth of the matter, right? I can do 1,000 great roofs, but I mess up one time.
Yeah.
One friggin' time. Like, right? You know what I mean? My image is ruined. My brand is gone. I'm crawling out of this hole, and it's just like, whoa, we make mistakes as business owners. We make mistakes as men, as humanity. And so we have to understand forgiveness on the same token. So that's why it's so important for me to get the compliments and the negativity, right? But I also need to tell them. Some of the times I send out back a questionnaire that says, if I could do it all over again, what could I have done better? Right? Because I can't always see my pitfalls. I can't always see the mistakes that I make until after the fact. And if I can get some of that critical feedback, I can implement that into my image. I can implement that. And so if I do, like you stated, how do you update your image and stay consistent with the change? And that's by the feedback that we get from previous clients, If somebody,
the bottom line to it is, if everything is always going great, are you really learning anything? You know what I mean? Like, that's why we all stand in the rooms with people that are more successful than us. And that's why we're always asking and questioning this and wondering about that, because if everything is just always so great, guarantee something's missing. Guarantee it. And that comes from 15 plus years of project management. As a project manager, if that project's going smooth and there's no hiccups, you got to raise the bullshit flag, because something's going to hit you at the end of that project. Guaranteed.
Corner being cut. There's
something. I'm telling you, man.
I promise you, you're 100% correct. 100%.
Donnie, I will tell you, this is something I heard from an industry leader and of a industry leader that I was a customer of also. And he said something to the effect of, you as the business owner would want to know what's wrong with your business. Don't you think Robert Kraft would want to know what's wrong with, if there was something wrong with the New England Patriots, or the owner of American Airlines would want to know if something's wrong with some facet of American Airlines? And
Absolutely.
you know, that just resonated with me about, yes, you want the positive, you want to get the good reviews, and but you also need to know, you need to own those. If there's a deficiency, if there's a failure of leadership, and really any problem at your company is a failure of leadership, and the buck stops here in my business. Right. And you know, so like, things happen to me, and it's not anybody else's fault. They happen because of me. So if somebody trips on the 10 and fumbles right before the end zone, I'm Tom Landry. That falls on me. I'm Tom Landry. That falls on me. So I want to know when and you know what? Yeah, you got to have a thick skin, but all of us were in the military, so we can take an ass chewing, because in my opinion, you know, I don't know what Marine Corps boot camp is like, but I'm just going to say high school football coach don't have shit on Coast Guard boot camp DIs. So, you know, you want to talk about an ass chewing of biblical proportions. I've been chewed out by a federal judge, and it wasn't nothing compared to a Master Chief Subsistence Specialist at boot camp. Okay. Not even close.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Anyway, what I'm saying though, you got to have a thick hide. You got to have a thick hide. And I know, you know, you guys at Marine Corps boot camp, you walk around and eat cupcakes, and it's all great.
Hold up.
Right?
What's in that coffee cup you're drinking over there?
Oh, shit.
Coffee. No, but what I'm getting at is you gotta be able to take the bad news. You gotta have a thick skin.
Absolutely.
Right? And you need to know it. You need to don't deflect. Don't blame it on others. You got to own it. And I think that's another way, Donnie, you know, like, how do you connect and know what your customers want? You got to know what they don't want. You got to know what you didn't do right. Like Doc said, hey, this roof wasn't perfect. You missed you know, something here. This fence didn't go in the way I planned it. And, you know, I need you to make it right. You got to know what you didn't do right almost as much as what you did do right. Now, getting reviews, I don't know about y'all's industry. That is a challenge in my industry.
That's a challenge with every industry. You know, I mean, you think about asking for reviews is important, but.
And Donnie's industry is a challenge because he's got an ethical prohibition on that, right? He can't just be like, hey, man, would you
not allowed.
Leave me a 5-star review on Google? He can't do that, you know.
$10,000.
If they elect to do that, that's wonderful. But, you know, the odds of that election are so hard, you know, and all you can do is hope they do it, you know. But it's a struggle. But, you know, it's just as important as it is to know what you did right. You got to know what you did wrong.
You know, reviews are important, and I think we all garner them from our clients. We look for them. But the best review is when the friend tells the client, or the client tells their friend.
The introduction.
Right. I'll give you an example. Just finished a job in Breezy Hill, and I'm not shitting you guys. There's 3 houses, and they're just like this. One person told this one told this one, and now they're all 3 of my clients. You know why? Because I'm trusted, I'm reputable, and I do the best job in the town when it comes to AV. Same with Doc, Casey, and Donnie. So you take care of your existing clients just as much as you take care of a new client. They're going to refer you new people on a consistent basis. And Doc and I talk about this pretty frequently. You know, some people build businesses that get mailbox money, right? Reoccurring revenue. Well, reoccurring revenue is also referrals from clients. That's why Doc's, you know, taking wine bottles and fancy little foo-foo gift bags and shit to the real estate agents or whatever. But hey, they love them, and it's building business for him, and it's building his brand. So you got to think outside the box. You got to take care of your clients, and you got to make sure that you're asking them, at least ask them, do you mind leaving me a review? Once you've asked, the action is in their hands. And, you know, there's some clients that would finish a job and then I'll get a review 2 months later. Hey, that's just as good to me as if they did it the night I left their house. I don't care.
I'm probably needing that review because
because what if that review goes up on your Facebook or your social media, whatever, right at the right time when that one client's looking for you and they saw that one review. So don't get too held up on, I need a review right now. Just make sure you're doing your due diligence and asking for it every time. That's the biggest thing.
And I'll tell you right now how I've been successful with reviews. is I ask for them right away.
Yeah.
I'll actually ask them for their phone, text them my review deal, and I'll click on it for them. And I'll be like, look how easy it is. Show me how easy you can do it. Encourage them, right? Empower your clients to do it, right? People love affirmation. People love to feel empowered. People love to take authority and ownership of what they're doing. And if you cater to those characteristic traits and those attributes that people want, what do they? I think they call it your love language. Right? I thank my clients. I'll give them a gift. You know what I mean? Like I got coolers made with my logo on them. And if I had a great relationship with my client, I do it. You know what I'm saying? If I have a great, I always want to leave them with something that they'll remember me by. And that's how I try to take care of those existing clients, because when they're in the garage and they're shooting the shit with their neighbor and they're like, hey, hand me a cold one, they just roofing cooling is created through good ethical behavior and doing the right thing when nobody's looking. So that's what it comes down to.
I think Doc just hit the auto tune on that one. That was a little bit broken up, but we get it, right? We understand. And I think Doc and I have known each other for 20 some years, you know, and we've mentioned that before, but I think one thing I learned about you today and the takeaway for me is that what makes you unique is that you want to empower your clients to remember you long after the roof is done, long after the drug test is done. So I think that's something we can all take away from as business owners is step up our game so our clients remember us when we're done. My systems are done to a high standard, so I don't go back for a lot of service calls. So I stay on top of my clients with little text messages here and there. This is what I do. I'm in a neighborhood that I have 2 or 3 other clients. Oh, so-and-so lives here. Shoot them a quick good morning text. Hey, good morning. Just roll past the house. Just want to say, hope you and the family are doing well. Little things like that go a long stinking way. So, Donnie, we're going to wrap it up here, man. I appreciate you joining us today. On behalf of the RVBA, Doc and Casey, we appreciate everybody joining in today, all the comments and all the feedback we're getting. The RVBA is a veteran run, but also Patriot supported network that we're building here. So we don't close our doors if you're not a veteran. I hate to beat the dead horse here, but I want you guys to understand that us veterans, we're 1% of the population. That leaves 99% of education, motivation, and a lot of people out there that can help us with our mission. So if you're at all interested in becoming a part of the RVBA, you want to join in, hell, right now we're taking, shoot me a text, shoot us a Facebook message. You want to fill a spot on this video because you got something to run your suck about? We're all for it. Bring it in. Yeah. But come in here with thick skin because we shoot it real. We don't bullshit, and we're going to tell you some real things. So if you really want to be in a winner's circle, the RVBA is where it's at. So I want to thank each one of you guys taking the time out every week to do this. This is week 6. And, man, I love it. We're killing it. We know this is for the long game. Casey, I don't know about you and those daggone penguins back there, but I love you, man. And I appreciate you joining us. But, hey, you know what? You guys are what make the RVBA successful. And, I can't thank you guys enough. Without you guys, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So I give all the credit to you, and I really appreciate you.
Hey, big thanks for everybody. We have a good one. We look forward to next Thursday.
All right, next Thursday, boys. Semper Fi.
For inviting me again. Semper Paratus.